trying to share here, but
Yeah, no, give me a second, Mike. I'm just gonna,
okay.
just give me a
Great,
second.
great.
I wanted to share the agenda, and that way we make sure everybody's recording. Okay, it's recording now. Welcome to the Green Team meeting. Today is April 15th, 2024. Okay, Mike Honeycake, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna stop sharing so that you can share. Does that make sense? And now it's stopped. So Mike, you should be able to share. Do you see share on the top of your screen?
I do, but I'm clicking on presenter mode window, and it's not sort of popping up anything on my desktop. So I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. So when you're
I don't use Teams very often.
Yeah, no worries. I understand. So when you're hitting share, I don't think you have to do presenter. I think you should just be able to share. You should see the screen. You should see when you open up share, you should see the different things you can share. That's not working.
Nope.
Okay. Do you want to send it to myself or Ray, and then we can present, and then we could do it for you if that makes it easier. So do you want to forward it to Ray Jeffries and let Ray do the presenting?
Yeah. Let me see if it's small enough to do that. Let me see here.
Hey, Steve, how are you? Be on camera.
Okay, I don't see Lois's card, so I don't think she's home.
Okay. We'll see. Well,
Sorry.
we're recording for her so that she has it, so that she can see the meeting. I know that Jessica's also on, Jessica Carroll. Hi, Jessica, how are you? And Councilmember McBride's also on. Hello, Jessica. And then Councilmember McBride is also here.
Yeah, I'm looking at our settings and it says everyone can present.
Okay. Yep. I have no idea. I very rarely use Teams, and
That's okay. Why don't you just? It might be easier, Ray, if he sends you. Did you send it to Ray, and then Ray can share it, and then we can
I'm just about to do that. Just checking. Okay. It's on the edge of being too big, so I'm gonna try. I'm gonna send it to. Sorry, it's Ray. Okay. Okay, Ray. Just send it over there. It's 22 megabytes, so hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just say next slide.
Yes, something I did.
I like your background.
I know. I just don't see me.
I'd like to introduce our green team. I have Councilwoman Carol McBride on. We have Steve Weiss here, and we have Jessica Carroll, who are all members of the green team. Lois Kinkle is missing, but we will record it like we record all meetings. And Mayor James, I believe, is on her way. But I think that she's familiar with the Sustainable Maryland process so I think she will be okay. For the green team, I think we talked a little bit about Sustainable Maryland previously. It's a designation that the town once had, and that we're really trying to recapture. And by forming the green team, that's one of the steps. And we sort of went through some things that we had done that we've accomplished, and that's part of the Sustainable Maryland process. But Mike is from the University of Maryland. He's the director of the program, and he's been gracious enough to give us a presentation today. So once Ray is able to pull it up, we'll let Mike take it away and do the first part of our meeting. The only other parts of our meeting today were about the two events that we have on April 20th and on April 27th, just to update you, and Ray can do that as well in regards to the cleanup at Bladensburg Park. That's on the 20th. And then we have, I always get it wrong. It used to be Green Up Cleanup. Now it's called Greening. What is it called, Ray? I was thinking it's called something. What is it called? I always forget the name of it. It's keeping
Bladensburg, Growing Green with Pride. And then like the subtitle is Clean Up Green Up. But yeah, it's Growing Green with Pride.
Growing Green with Pride, which is on the 27th, which Ray and I will both be here both weekends for those two events. So we hope that we know that you guys, some of you might be able to join us, but we will be helping to spearhead that. And I see that, Steve, do you have on your green shirt, your green team shirt?
Yeah, Ray gave it to me the other day.
It looks good. Jessica, we have a green team shirt for you, so we'll get it over to you soon. You're gonna get your own polo.
Okay, I was getting jealous. It's like,
I
where's
know.
my
I didn't want you.
shirt?
I wanted to squash all jealousy, so everybody's getting their green team shirts soon. So, but
I
Steve
have
just happened to be
mine.
by. Hi, Mayor. How are you? He just joined.
The same button was not cooperating. Good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you. All right, Ray. I think you're still trying to get up. Trying to download.
Yeah, but I just opened it. It just got in my email, so I just opened it.
Perfect. So Ray, Mayor, we were just giving a brief introduction. Mike is here to do a presentation on Sustainable Maryland. We've got the two events that are coming up this weekend. One this weekend and then one next weekend. But Mike's gonna do the first part of the meeting today with the Sustainable Maryland designation. And I think I emailed everybody the last certification from 2019. So you had an opportunity to, I'm sorry so late, but you did have a copy of it. So just wanted to check in. So Ray's gonna do the PowerPoint, and I think it's gonna take him a little second because it's a large file.
Okay, the circle is spinning.
Okay. I was trying to stretch time, like on TV. Fill it. There you go. Great. Now, Mike, it's all you. I'm gonna put myself on. Mike, it's your turn.
It looks like Mike's screen froze.
Yeah, I admitted him again. He's on two different things. I just admitted him again. So let's see
One
if
is
we can-
unmuted, and then the other is
right. It's open, right?
on mute. Mike, can you hear us?
He just
he's
left again.
Okay, he's going out.
I
Yeah,
think
it
UMC
must
doesn't.
be an
Yeah.
issue. I'm wondering if for the university, maybe they do better with Zoom.
They
You never
do.
know.
They do. I think
Here he
that's what
goes
it is.
again. Let me admit
I'll let him in.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, great.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, sorry, I was trying to solve the sharing thing, and then I got caught in this spiral with the university's Teams account, I guess, and it had me logging in and off. Nice to see you, Mayor James. So I'm just gonna try one more time. So let me just see. Do you know what?
See the presentation on the screen?
Do you know what? I'm just gonna let you do it because I think me trying to do it on my end is gonna mess things up. Okay. I can't see the presentation. Let's see.
Yeah, when you start sharing, you bumped Ray, but Ray's gonna come back up again. Hold on, Ray.
Okay, we'll just do it that way because I think I'm gonna get screens within screens within screens, and I don't want that. I apologize.
Am I still sharing my screen?
No, you're not, Ray. You got to share again.
Okay. I thought I was. Okay, let me try it again. Okay. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So if you do, Ray, if you choose slide mode, you'll just, from current slide in the upper left, you'll just get the actual slide.
Do you see the actual slide right now?
Yeah, but you also see the thing on the left. So if you click in the upper left, just from current slide,
okay,
it'll put it on the full screen kind of. Yeah, upper left from current slide or from beginning, either one of those you can choose.
I clicked from beginning.
Oh, right. Okay. Interesting.
Okay. So let me.
Ray,
click
the
from-
other thing you can try is at the bottom of the screen where you can increase to 100%. There's like a little screen there. If you hit that next to the negative sign to the left of it, nope, to the left of the negative sign. Yep, if you hit that, it'll go full screen.
Is that good?
It didn't do anything. That's so
It didn't
weird.
do
Yeah, it's
anything.
just still showing the bar. I think that because you
Sure.
still have it in read only, I think that's what it is, because you can't, because even at the very top, the present mode. How about, Mike, we
It's
just go with
okay.
this
It's
and then just.
yeah. You can. Oh, yeah. You can try from current slide. That's the only other one I would try. But otherwise, I'm fine. Yep. Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to work. That's okay. Okay, so I will, I guess, get us rolling. So thank you very much for having me today. I think actually you may, sorry, Ray, we're running you in circles here. You may want to just take it down another few percentages because I think some of the text may be cropped a little bit. Just, yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Right.
Okay.
So my name is Mike Hunninghake. I work at the Environmental Finance Center over at the School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation. And actually, Ray, next slide. And actually, the next one, sorry, that's next one. We got everybody's affiliations. So the Sustainable Maryland program is based at the Environmental Finance Center. It has been around for about a dozen years. The certification, which is a lot of what we're going to be talking about in the latter half of today's discussion presentation, is currently only open for municipalities, the 157 municipalities in the state of Maryland. And we are part of a national network called the Sustainable States Network. There's about 14 states on the East Coast and in the Midwest and California that have very similar programs. Next slide, Ray. There you go. So a bit of background, the program was very much started in conjunction with the Maryland Municipal League over a dozen years ago. They are the nonprofit that supports municipalities across the state, very much engaged with your elected officials, your municipal staff, that kind of thing. And it's given us a very direct avenue to municipalities over the years. We also, the Environmental Finance Center has had some support for 30 years from the United States Environmental Protection Agency. So without them, there'd be no EFC, and without EFC, there wouldn't be a Sustainable Maryland. So they're kind of two of our key partners. And then we have some key partners and funders. So 2 years ago, we were able to have legislation passed that provides annual funding in the state budget for the Sustainable Maryland program specifically. And thank you, Mayor James, for your efforts and a lot of other mayors and council members across the state to help us to get that support. We also get funding via grants from the Chesapeake Bay Trust. We also have contracts with local governments, including Prince George's County Department of Environment. And then we have some corporate funders and partners over the years. PEPCO, we administer their Sustainable Communities grants, which you are eligible to apply for. And we also have some companies in the region that Heavy makes all electric heavy duty vehicles. And Ernest Meyer is actually based, I think, as you know, in Bladensburg, and they do, amongst other things, pervious pavers, which are in your City Hall parking lot. Next. So the mission of Sustainable Maryland is essentially to support communities, very specifically municipalities, for most of our time. We've also branched out a little bit recently to homeowners associations through some separate funding. But our primary mission is with municipalities. It's free for Bladensburg and other towns to participate. It's completely voluntary. And we are basically just here to help you in any way that we can for your sustainability efforts. This certification program kind of helps you to choose a direction for your efforts. We offer on our website an action menu that we'll talk about in a little bit that shows a variety of things that communities can do and a roadmap for how to do them. We definitely help improve your access to resources, whether that's connecting you with other green teams or to funding sources at the state, local, nonprofit level. Certification is a way to measure your progress. Every 3 years, we have municipalities come back to maintain their certification, and you can see how you're sort of moving up with more points or higher certification levels. And then a big part of my role and our role is to share what you're doing with other communities and vice versa. We now have a huge network of communities across the state that we're working with, and it's my job to connect those folks to each other. When a town wants to do a specific project, they have a certain demographic and they're looking for a similar example, we know immediately what town to partner them with. We know the green team chair and the staff member to connect them to, that sort of thing. And then, of course, we share your success at the annual awards ceremony that is at the fall MML conference every year, where we hand out the recertifications and the new certification awards. Next slide. So expanding on that, some of the benefits of the program, you can phone or email me and my colleagues anytime. We hope that we are your first thought for support in the sustainability realm. We're your go-to. And then broadening out from that, we have connections across the university, at state agencies, at nonprofits. We have student and faculty resources that we can occasionally bring to bear for the benefit of communities. We do trainings like this. This is considered a green team training, but we just had, about a month ago, we did a full day workshop hybrid here at STAMP and also on Zoom. The entire day was devoted to educating municipalities about all of the federal funding that's coming down the pike for energy and renewable energy and energy efficiency funding. So we do lots of other things. We've done Route 1 corridor summits, green team summits in the past. We do guided sustainability tours of places like Riverdale Park Station, which is really very sustainable development. We also do grants. So I mentioned that we administer PEPCO's Sustainable Communities grants. This is our 3rd year running. I think there's going to be $125,000 for environmental stewardship and resiliency grants. You'll be hearing about that very soon. They'll be launching in late April, early May. And then part of that state funding that we've received will go towards our own grant program, which we intend to start either the latter half of this year or beginning of next year. So stay tuned for that. I mentioned the peer-to-peer leadership network and sharing what you're doing across the state and recognizing your efforts with the annual awards. Next slide. So an overall update on the program. I mentioned the program was started over a decade ago. We currently have 89 communities registered, and that includes Bladensburg. Bladensburg registered a long time ago, like within the first year of the program. And that just means that you're always part of the Sustainable Maryland family. You passed a resolution back then, and that resolution is good in perpetuity as far as we're concerned. And that 89 communities represents about 57% of Maryland's incorporated municipalities. Currently, we've got 46 of those communities are certified in good standing. Last year, we had 11 recertifications, which was about a 95% retention rate from 3 years earlier. And then we also had a nice crop of new communities, 5 new communities certified for the first time. We have the website and a Facebook page if that's of interest. definitely the website I encourage you to take a look at. And then we've launched some new things since you all were involved, and I'll go into that with a slide later. But we have a whole bunch of new actions on the website, and we launched a new silver tier in addition to the bronze tier. I mentioned the Petco funding. I mentioned the annual state line, and that annual state line has allowed us to hire a new staff person, Liv Pierce, who is the Sustainable Maryland Program Assistant here, and you will get to know them at some stage down the road. Next slide. Oh, and that photo before was last year's award ceremony. This is just lots of logos of lots of different towns. Next slide. This is the better slide. This is a map that shows almost all of the communities participating. I couldn't quite squeeze in everybody around the margins, but you can see pretty much communities all across the state from Western Maryland, and there's a few to the west of Frostburg, which is that dot that you see there next to Cumberland, all the way down to the Eastern Shore, Salisbury, Ocean City, Berlin. You'll also see the tight cluster in the center there. That is 26 of Prince George's County's 27 municipalities are registered and or certified with the program. So Western Maryland, Eastern Shore, Central Corridor, small towns of 200 people on up to the 10 largest cities, apart from Baltimore, in the state. Next slide. And this is a bit of a drill down to the local level. So currently, the list of municipalities at the top are certified, starting with Berwyn Heights. That is through 2023. And then communities that are registered and are working towards their first certification or are looking to get back on the recertification track are the communities on the bottom list. And that is a photo from the last time that Bladensburg was at our award ceremony in 2019. Next slide. And I apologize, I'll just stop and say if anybody has any questions along the way, please feel free to raise your hand or just shout them out, that's fine. Happy to answer any questions. So here's a bit of an overview of how the program, the certification element of our program works. So the basic requirements are municipality needs to opt into Sustainable Maryland with a resolution, which you've done a long time ago, so you're good for that. There are two mandatory actions for becoming certified or recertified. That's creating if you're a new community, or having, if you're an existing community, a active green team. So you've got that here. You've rejuvenated your green team in the past months. You're meeting on a monthly basis. You're taking minutes. You've got your agendas. That's great. So you're satisfying that mandatory action. And then the green team needs to create an action plan. And that is a forward-looking document. It does not have to be super detailed. It is merely a way for us to ensure that you're thinking ahead and planning for continuing things that you're doing now or starting new projects. So that can be just bullet points for 2023, 2024, 2025, looking ahead a few years. And then when the community applies for recertification in your case, and by the way, the deadline for that is June 30th of every year. So this year, should Bladensburg apply, it'll be June 30th is the deadline. And then we spend the summer reviewing the application, and we do an internal review amongst our staff, and we provide you with some comments and suggestions as a result of that internal review. And then we have an external review of experts in various categories, and they also provide some guidance that you're able to tweak and upgrade your application. And then we make the final determinations at the end of the summer. So the other requirements are completing some priority actions. So we have all of those different priority actions listed there, which you can see on the website. And for bronze certification, we need to see at least 2 out of the 8 priority actions. And for silver, at least 4 out of the 8 priority actions. And then the bottom line number is you need to complete at least 150 points worth of actions for bronze and 400 points for silver. The chart on the right is a slightly out-of-date version of the action menu. The one on the website is up to date and includes all the new actions and new categories, which we'll take a look at in a second. Next slide. So some of those actions, just to mention, are things that where we partner with other organizations or departments to put these together. So a couple of examples that I think people know, Tree City USA. So Tree City USA is an action that you can get points for, but it's also an initiative of the Arbor Day Foundation, you know, the national foundation nonprofit that works with communities all across the country, and they have their own certification program, Tree City USA. And so if a town is, you know, wants to make sure that they're increasing their tree canopy and they've got healthy trees and they're, you know, they've got an arborist that helps them maintain their tree canopy. Those are all some of the requirements for being a Tree City USA, which I'm hopeful that many of you have seen those signs on the entranceway to communities, the gateways to communities. That's what that is. So instead of us putting together a lot of different tree-related actions, we just piggybacked on what the Arbor Day Foundation is, and we said, if you're certified in their program, that's good enough for us. So that's just one example of one of our partners. Next slide. So this is an overview of what's changed since the last time Bladensburg was actively engaged in the certification process. I'm not going to go through all of the new actions, but basically we added a whole bunch of new actions in existing categories, things like composting and renewable energy and electric vehicles. But we also added two categories, new categories, which some of the things that you have been doing will shift over from innovative demonstration projects into specific new actions and new categories. I'll get into that later. But transportation is a new one and historic preservation is a new one. And then the sort of right column, lower right column just talks about the silver tier and the basic requirements, which we went over just a second ago. Next slide. So a few questions that pop up regularly about the certification process include, very fundamentally, any action that you're applying for towards your application must have some connection to the municipality. So the incorporated local government, i.e. the town of Bladensburg, should have either funded or advertised or provided staff or provided space or land or some kind of connection to the action that you're looking to receive points for. And when we get into the specifics of your recertification, we can talk about some of that. As it relates to things like events, we ask that they be within 12 months of the application deadline. That's our way of nudging you towards making events annual. So like annual bike to work day or annual food fair or annual, green fair. Where if we see something that's like 6 or 7 years old, we won't give you points towards that. Planning documents. So these types of things should be either drafted within the last 6 years or have been updated within that time period. So, a watershed plan could have been done a dozen years ago, but a lot of things changed in the last years and would warrant an update within that time. As far as the actual certification goes, this is sort of appropriate for you, I guess. There's no timeline for any new community to get certified once they register with the program. We actually have some towns that have been registered for 7, 8, 9 years, but they've never applied for certification. It's a handful of them, but they're there. So that's okay. We're patient. We encourage them every year because we want to see what they're up to, but they don't have to apply for certification. However, once a town has become certified, in order to maintain that certification, you need to reapply every 3 years, or the certification does not appear on our website. And that's the situation that Bladensburg is in now. You are up in 2022, I guess, for recertification from 2019. So that's what we're talking about today. I mentioned applications are due on June 30th, and basically the application process works entirely through our website. Each action has to be documented with a description in the text box, and then documentation that you can upload. Documentation can be a copy of an ordinance, photos, copy of a newsletter, a PDF of a report or a planning document. Whatever illustrates that you've completed this action are the things that you upload. Next slide. And I think we're gonna, these are meant to be hidden, I think. So we're gonna skip that one. Next slide, next slide, next slide. That's why I wanted to do the slide view. And then the next slide, yes, is where we are at. So green teams, okay? Everybody here is part of a green team. We're just kind of moving into a bit of advice for green teams generally, and then we're going to zero in, I promise, on Bladensburg, all the actions that you were certified on last time and how you can update those. But generally speaking, green team is meant to be a cross-section of your community. So thinking about tapping folks from different neighborhoods, but different backgrounds, perhaps from the business community, perhaps from schools or public health. Ideally, but not required, we recommend having a chair or a leader, having regular members, having some liaison to the elected officials, so municipal staff, having regular meetings, potentially subcommittees for specific projects. We definitely asked the green team to develop that action plan that I mentioned is mandatory. We encourage the green team to attend trainings, and I should say not just our own trainings, which I mentioned, the ones that we do, but our monthly newsletter, which Michelle, I'll say, if anybody on the green team wants to get the newsletter, just send me or let me know who would like to receive the newsletter, and send me their email addresses, and I'll add them. Our monthly newsletter.
Mike, I'll send that to you. We'll send you the list of our.
Okay.
That way.
And it's not required. And if you start getting it and then it's not what you're interested in, you can always unsubscribe. But we like to think it's the only monthly newsletter dedicated to municipal green teams across the state. So it's targeted at you. And we try to gather for the calendar lots of great upcoming webinars, conferences, workshops that we think are appropriate for green team members. So we encourage you to get out and attend those. Next slide, please. So we mentioned the actions. So if you go on the actions tab on our website, you will see this action menu with lots of different categories, lots of different things like food and energy and natural resources. But the one thing to know is that each one of these things contains a roadmap on how to complete it. It also contains information on what you need to submit to document it. But as far as the roadmap, so for example, a farmer's market, we give you a very detailed instructions about how to assess the marketplace and survey local farmers or producers, how to figure out the best location for it and the day of the week and time of day, which can be tricky. How are you going to pay for it? Will it be all volunteer or paid staff or some combination? How to go about publicity. And then all of those all of those actions have examples from other municipalities, right? So if a community wants to start a farmer's market or a community garden, you can read through the roadmap, and then at the end there'll be a spotlight on different municipalities, and you can see exactly what they've done to do this, real world examples. Next slide, please. So we also encourage green teams and municipalities to build on your local assets. Every community is different, obviously, and has a different range of assets, but we certainly think that your number one assets are your community members, right? The people who live in your community. And that's because they have a real diversity of backgrounds and a diversity of either their personal passion for some specific or range of sustainability issues. You know yourselves, people who are passionate about recycling or gardening or electric vehicles or what have you that live in the community. And then also a lot of people have professional expertise that is really well positioned to help your community. They have a day job at an environmental organization or a public health agency or what have you, and they can bring that expertise back to the community for the benefit of the community. So your number one asset is your people. And everybody here on this call knows different people in the community. So be thinking about those people that you might be able to tap for either sitting on the green team or doing a specific project that they might be particularly well suited for. Some other things to think about in terms of local assets, history and heritage. Bladensburg certainly has that in different parts of the community, and our new historic preservation category, we're going to talk about that, including the Bostwick House. And then you have specific sites, business districts, parks, waterways. You have all of those actually. And so those are things that you might want to capitalize on. And then partnerships, potentially with the local business community, which you have a robust business community there in Bladensburg by virtue of your size and location. You have a number of different schools in the vicinity. Congregations is something I always try to emphasize. Almost every community has a range of different congregations within their municipality. And, most religions have some sort of creation care ethic that they are propound from the pulpit during services. So folks who are interested in caring for the planet, you've got a built-in audience there, and then also a built-in volunteer base for potential projects. And then nonprofits, and of course, you all are definitely well positioned in that regard, from places like the Anacostia Watershed Society and other regional watershed groups, to your proximity to the DC region. There's a lot of nonprofits in this area that you can tap into. Next. Finally, some example or some advice in terms of green team operations is getting the word out about what you're doing. So we like to think that, if residents know about the projects that the green team and the municipality are doing on the sustainability front, they will be supportive. And if residents are supportive of these projects, they are more likely to come out to events, and they are more likely to re-elect the people who are responsible for authorizing and overseeing these efforts. So those people are more likely to get reelected, which creates sort of a virtuous cycle of more and greater sustainability efforts and more supportive residents. So you got to get the word out in any way you can. I know Bladensburg has a wide range of communications channels that are all listed here. But it's just really a reminder that when you do work on these projects or when you complete these projects, to get the word out to residents in order for there to be broad support. Next slide. Well, actually, and that's just an example. That's what I was kind of saying about our way of kind of sharing examples from other communities. And that's a list of some things that might be of interest that are going on right around your doorstep, really, that we could connect you with. should that be of interest. And that extends all across the state actually, but I just thought that would be a good sampling of what's happening locally that might be of interest. And the next slide is the final slide before we drill down to your specific action plan. So a strategy for certification or recertification. And by the way, that is your parking lot there. So one thing you want to do, and we're going to do in about a minute and a half, is to assess what you already have completed or have ongoing that can form the basis for your application. So any initiatives that are, still going on since 2019, things that you're just doing on a regular basis, those are definitely where you want to start building the sort of building blocks of your application. Then you want to be identifying, now this is usually for more long-term advice, but you want to talk about things that you want to undertake. Those are things in the next few years. Those are things that can be part of your action plan. You may also want to think about, being cognizant of or highlighting the sort of difficulty of certain actions. So there are certain things that are easier than others, right? Organizing a tree planting is a one-day event that might take, a couple months to put together and advertise and get the trees, and you do the event and you're done until the next year. However, creating a stormwater management program or drafting a watershed plan is usually a multi-year process, involves, staff and funding and lots of public input. So there's a range of degree of difficulty and duration, and it's good to be mindful about that. And it also lets you, identify the things that can be like easy wins and things you can get accomplished pretty quickly and easily that the community can celebrate. You also want to think about potential funding sources for a lot of different actions. Not every action requires a pot of money to complete, but some do, and some more than others. So again, that's part of our work, is to help you identify those funding sources. And actually, we're going to talk about one in a bit that I'm hopeful that you all, I know you all are part of, and I'm hopeful that you'll reapply for in the future. Recruiting volunteers, that's something that a green team should be thinking about on a regular basis, whether it's for the green team itself or for specific projects. That could be like the local Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts troop, that kind of thing. You want to be sort of tracking your progress towards certification, updating the green team on a regular basis about, what things have actually been completed, who's drafting up the language for the application or gathering the documentation. Just on a regular basis at your meetings, that should be a sort of part of the agenda. And of course, getting the word out. I will keep repeating that. We want you to publicize your efforts. And certainly when a town gets certified, we do everything in our power to publicize your awards. We draft press releases, which we share with you. We do a lot of work getting the word out, and including, because you're local, through the university here and their communications channels. So that's just a general strategy for the town, for the green team, as you pursue your first or your recertification. Okay, I'm going to pause, take a breath, ask if there's any questions.
So
any-
Mike, I had
yeah.
a question for you.
Erica,
It was
sure.
maybe a slide or two back. And just thinking about your point in terms of why it's important to think about some things that don't always require funding versus there are some things that do. And you mentioned the rain gardens. And just in knowing that flooding is such a challenge here, how do you even go about creating a rain garden? Because I can think of a few spots immediately where that would be helpful to the town and to the community, capturing some water, mainly in the industrial areas where I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I lost the last bit of that, Mayor James.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I was thinking of in the industrial area, because we're working to resolve it for the residential. However, for the industrial side of town, we still need some help on, on that end.
Okay. Well, that's a conversation we could have going forward for sure. And my colleagues here at the Environmental Finance Center, a lot of what they work on actually in the broader sense is figuring out how to help communities finance water quality and stormwater management infrastructure. So we should make a point to talk about that. But generally speaking, there are levels to this, right? There is, the community taking a holistic approach, which is one of our actions, having a stormwater management program, having a actual analysis of the needs, the challenges and the needs of the community, mapping that out, targeting certain areas for infrastructure improvements, and figuring out what grant funding and technical assistance can be brought to bear to do that. That's the holistic approach, which you may or may not be sort of pursuing at the moment. But then on a case-by-case basis, if it's sort of residential or municipal property, there are grant funds, Chesapeake Bay Trust being the primary one, but there are other funds where that can be pursued to address that. And then in some of the industrial areas, I think, partnering with the business community and steering them towards different resources that they might be able to avail themselves of, or in partnership with the community, are ways to go about doing that. I will say that your immediate neighbors in Edmonston have done, and actually it's I'm writing it down again because it's been on my mind. I think we may be scheduling a tour of Edmonston of all of their stormwater management infrastructure.
Yeah, Mike. Hi, Mike. No,
Yeah.
I've talked to Rod about who they use, EcoSite. I applied for funding in the last CPT round 4 for actually the same thing, and I haven't been as successful as Rod. So I'm working with him on using his people, because he has over 50 rain gardens that he's had funded, and he constantly gets funding for it through CPT. And I actually talked to Michelle on your team about this as well. So yeah, we're aware of that, and we actually went on the tour with him, with you guys, when I first started about 6 months ago. But I can also take this team out on that tour, because it is amazing how many rain gardens that they have had funded through Chesapeake Bay Trust. So,
Right. The walkable watersheds.
Yes, and the walkable
when we took a walk
watersheds.
there. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was asked by Michelle, and she'll go after me if I forget to mention this. There is the Walkable Watersheds project is part of EFC. It's a separate project, but related. And she reminded me that next Tuesday, the 23rd, they're having a public meeting from 6 to 8 p.m. It's at Colmar Manor Community Center. And I know a couple people are signed up, but Michelle, if you can take some of that advertising that our Michelle gave you all, and maybe do a last
we've been
push
getting
for
it out there. Yep.
Great.
We actually have a conflict, because we've got to do our budget meeting at the same day, because the Monday is no longer available. So we might, from the standpoint of the council, we're going to be looking at some budget stuff. But yes, we've sent it out. Ray, you've got that. It was the Walkable Watershed. They actually were going to come back and do another one on Wednesday, and they weren't able to do it. But yes, we will make sure it gets out to this group.
So I actually believe that tour something's been canceled.
The 24th tour. The tour
okay.
was, but not the meeting. The meeting's still on.
Okay, yeah. I've been posting the meeting. It's on social media as well.
Well, just the 22nd is actually just a public open event.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not just this group, but any of your residents are welcome to come. There will be food, and there will be kids activities. So Michelle just asked me to remind you of that.
Yep, we've got it.
Yeah,
We've got it on our
I got
calendar.
it out there.
Okay, so the next few slides are drilling down specifically to your last certification report and how it can be updated for 2024 recertification. And Michelle shared with you, and I've got it in my hand, the the report, a PDF on our website of the report, so you can see how each action has a lot of text and uploaded documents. So a couple general things, and I don't know who's going to be responsible for doing this. It may be, I know Michelle will be probably very much in the lead, but there may be other people responsible or helping out. But what I will tell you is, if you apply for recertification this year and you open a new application, all of that information you're looking at on that report from 2019 will populate the application, okay? And your job is to edit that and update that for 2024. So my recommendation generally is to, if you still think that some of these actions are valid and should receive points, go through the text that's there, go through the documents that are there, and delete what is no longer timely or relevant, leave what is generally still relevant, the basics of it, and then add any new information and updated, more recent information to that action. And then any new things that you've done, which we'll talk about here, you'll just add from scratch. All the text, all the uploads will be brand new. But so I want to walk through this, and we don't have the time, but we can do it some other time between now and June 30th to determine with precision whether these things are still relevant. It's kind of part of your homework to figure that out. You have to go on the action menu and see what the submission requirements are. But I can give you some guidance, and I've done a lot of research in the last few weeks, so I can give you some guidance as we go through these here now. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, okay. So these are all listed in the order that you see on that document that Michelle shared with you, by category and then by action. So you received points last time for participation in Maryland Green Schools. Maryland Green Schools is a nonprofit initiative that certifies schools. They are the, it's called the Maryland Association of Outdoor and Environmental Educators. And they have a statewide program that certifies schools. And we award points to any municipality that has within its boundary, or that sends its kids to outside of its boundary, points that are certified in that program. I looked up Bladensburg High School and the Port Towns Elementary School, and both of those were last certified, I think, in 2020, which is good for the Maryland Green Schools program, which means it's good for us. Okay, so you would simply update that action by saying Bladensburg High School and Port Towns Elementary School are certified as of 2020 with the Maryland Green Schools program, and I think they require recertification like every 4 or 5 years, so that's why they're still valid, and it's on their website. You can look all that up. Hold a Green Fair. So this was an event that you all did as a part of your annual fireworks celebration. It seemed like there was sort of a subset of Green Team activities. I will tell you that was we're more likely to give points to something that is dedicated towards a actual environmental sustainability fair, but we did give you points for this as a subset of your annual fireworks celebration. So if you've done anything dedicated, like a specific green fair in the past couple of years, or something that you're planning in the future, that one may or may not receive points going forward, okay? Participate in Green Team training. That's exactly what we're doing right now. So check, 5 points. You have a copy of the presentation. All you need to do is delete the last one that you had from like 17 or something, and upload this one, and then change the text to say Mike Hunninghake came out on April 15th, 2024, not October 6th, 2017, and just update it, right? Does that make sense to everybody, how you would do this? Okay. Green Team and Green Team Action Plan, I have mentioned that multiple times. Both are mandatory and non-negotiable for your recertification. And you obviously have the Green Team reactivated here. And the action plan, I've shared with Michelle some examples, I think, that is relatively straightforward to create for a few actions for each of the coming few years. Sustainability Resource Center. So you have a web page that has a lot of different information that residents can take advantage of, right? Like energy rebates or rain garden rebates from the county, or how to recycle or compost properly. That's something that I actually didn't check that link there, but I would just give that link a check and maybe update it, but that would satisfy the requirement for that action. Okay, so those are the actions that you submitted within community action. The next category is community-based food. So one of the actions that you got points for was having a CSA drop-off. A CSA is what's called community supported agriculture, and that is where a farmer essentially sells shares in the farm on an annual basis to people. And so practically speaking, how that works is you can pay the farmer at the beginning of the growing season a couple $100, and then over the course of the growing season, each week, you get to pick up a basket of whatever they're producing on the farm. And this action is having the municipality host a drop-off location for those farm shares. So it seems like the last time there was, and again, I can't get into.
We just
all of
renewed it,
this.
just in
Okay.
case, Mike. We just did
Great.
it.
Okay.
So we're all
Okay.
set for the CSA
So-
drop off. That'll be
Okey-doke.
announced shortly.
Okie doke. Local food fair. So that seems to have been something that last happened as part of a Port Town Days festival in 2018. So again, if you've done something like this in the last couple of years, document that. If you haven't, just say, okay, that's fine. We won't be receiving those 10 points, but you can review all that, see what you think. You can ask me if something else would contribute towards those points, but that's how you'd update it. Promoting a local farmers market. So in our program, you can either actually have a farmers market, which like your local one is Riverdale Park, I think. Or if the town is not able to organize and staff and fund its own farmers market, you can promote a nearby one to residents, which is what you did last time. And I believe it was the Riverdale Park one, actually, that you helped promote. So if you still want to get points for that, you're going to need to update that information, because all of the images and the PDFs are from like 2018. We want to see that you've been promoting it in the last year. You have time to do that this year if you'd like. You can promote it in the next few months and document that you've done that. And then community gardens. So Michelle and I had a chat a little while ago, and we talked about this. This was one of your 2 priority actions. Remember, you need to have at least 2 priority actions to get the bronze certification. So you all had a partnership with EcoCity Farms, and I will say that even at the time in 2019, we gave you kind of a lot of leeway on this one, because it wasn't actually like the town, as many people think, a town having a community garden. The town has a plot of land, and it has different it divvies up that land, and residents can purchase a plot for $20 and they get to garden in that plot, and there's rules and all that. This was not that sort of traditional community garden. So I think we'll definitely should have a conversation about what you all may still be doing with EcoCity Farms and whether it would rise to the level of this. Alternatively, we should talk about perhaps another one of our priority actions that you all might be able to swap in for this. And I think we'll talk about that in just a second, actually. The next category is energy, and you submitted for one. This is also kind of a unique thing. You submitted for residential energy efficiency. So that means helping residents make their homes more energy efficient, right? Now, you all are like unique in this category in the state, because you had a gentleman named Jim whose last name is escaping me, who's a police
Flynn.
officer.
Jimmy
Yeah,
Flynn.
Jimmy Flynn.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Michelle, if you want to.
Well, no, we also, this year we also, with all the other port towns, we sent a letter to support the residential energy efficiency cooperative that he now has with, I believe, almost all 26 of the 27 municipalities that are in it, in this area. He's got, I mean, and so he's still doing the residential the efficiency program, but as a new cooperative, but we're one of the signers on that as well.
Okay, great. And I think do you work with Allison Miller at all on that as well?
Yeah,
Or does
that's
yeah.
that's who still works with Mr. Flynn. Yes, but we
Great.
did send a letter of support, and we've been supportive, and so it does cover all of the towns as far as the energy efficiency grant. He's reapplied again with the Department of Energy for that, or DCHD as well.
Okay. And so you're just going to want to like kind of edit down a lot of that text there.
Yeah.
Because what I should just say is Jim sort of originated this Prince George's County municipal collaboration out of Bladensburg.
Yes.
And so you were the home of this as well as the recipient of
so we
it.
might have to change. We may have to change the way that we are representing that, but we're just.
And that's okay. Right. We just want to change that. Right. Because it's not.
Yeah. I believe we have to
Jim's
change a
now-
lot of it stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that you're still participating in that and you're tapping into funds to help your residents, that's really the main thing. But I just wanted to say you were kind of special in that this initiative originated with Bladensburg, which is pretty cool. Somebody has their hand up, but I can't tell.
It's Mayor James.
Oh, Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, I was just gonna say the program started out great, but the challenge we ended up having is the majority of people benefiting from the grants were not Bladensburg residents. And so it's like we were funding this for the county and state with, recipients in Southern Maryland, Eastern Shore, you name it. And while that's great for the state, it just didn't make sense for the town to be running this program for the, for the greater Maryland community. But since that time, we've also have had success with sending residents to the weatherization program through UCAP, which is United Communities Against Poverty. And I know personally some of the residents have been able to get energy efficient appliances or essential things that were necessary. It's the same pot of money from the state. It's just UCAP also is able to help with the same program.
So that's good to know. Thank you, Mayor. What I might suggest is that for documenting this action, which, generally speaking, we just want to see that the municipality is helping residents get assistance for energy efficiency. You may want to kind of just combine Jim's thing with the UCAP thing and say, these are the two ways that we're doing this. If you have some numbers and some metrics, put that in there. That's great. I think that would be, I think you probably want to kind of wholesale redo this action to reflect that you're now a participant rather than the organizer, and that you're doing two different things rather than just one. Yeah.
And actually, we've applied for more money to do solar and stuff like that. That's not on our own application. So we will revamp that portion. We just haven't gotten funding on that yet. So yeah, got it.
The next category is greenhouse gas category. And for that, you all submitted what we call an innovative demonstration project. So every category allows for submitting innovative demonstration projects. And those are simply things that don't fit neatly into a pre-existing action, right? We can't create actions for every possible thing that communities do. And this is our way of capturing that. So anyways, the last time you all submitted for two different things, which we now actually, I think, have specific actions for, which is great. It's a little bit more easy to understand. But the last time you submitted for essentially transitioning your police fleet from V8 to V6, so more energy efficient police cars, which is great. We now do as well have a municipal electric vehicles action. So if the municipality has purchased any electric vehicles, you would submit that in that specific action. If the municipality is simply continued to transition away from the V8s to the V6s, I would leave it here. But if you have some electric vehicles, I would put it over in that specific action. With the LED solar lights, that is, I think that was in some of the parks. And that is something that you could leave here as well. But just update us as to how you're maintaining these, whether you've expanded the use of LED solar powered lighting anywhere in your parks, that kind of thing. That would be the update, okay? Next slide, Ray, please. Oops, and I missed the bullet points. I forgot to put the bullet points at the top. But so the next category is health and wellness. And again, an innovative demonstration project, two things. One was the town park that was relatively new at that time, that incorporated, let's see, a new tot lot, exercise stations, the walking trail, and then there are a lot of details about use of recycled materials, that sort of thing. So you obviously haven't done a new town park like that, but if you've if you've updated any of that equipment in the last 5 years, if you've added to that, we would want to hear about that, and that's how you would update that specific part of this documentation. The bike to work day thing, that's just, we gave you 5 points for that, I'm sure. That's just a one-off thing every year in May. If you've continued to do that, just update us on the last one you did, which would be, well, you could do one in this coming May, or from 2023. So those are the two things that were in innovative demonstration projects under health and wellness. Then you also submitted for a workplace wellness program. And in this instance, workplace means the municipality, municipal staff. And we award points to communities that go above and beyond the basics in terms of providing workplace wellness benefits to employees. So above and beyond just simply having healthcare coverage, what other things do you all do? And again, you can just take a look at this and see, I think it looks like it was broken out into like 4 different things. 10-minute exercise policies, reminding people to take advantage of paid leave, things like that. So there might be new things here. That's how you would update this, or this may not exist anymore. I have no idea, but if there are new things or updated things about this policy, that's what we want to hear about. And also the documentation would need to be from 2023 or 2024 as opposed to 2017 or 18, right? Okay, local economies. And I should say that this category covers, as the name implies, local businesses, local economic development activity, but it also includes, for now, things like waste and recycling and composting. So it's kind of 2 different things under one umbrella. So for innovative demonstration projects, I did not spell containers properly, but you all were at the forefront, and that was part of Jim Flynn's work as well, at installing those big belly solar powered web linked to your DPW department trash and recycling containers. Okay, so there's a lot of information about the initial purchase and the costs and the numbers of these things. So if you would like to receive credit for that, we want some kind of update. Have you installed more? Have you changed the way the Wi-Fi enabled works? What challenges have you had? Are they still functioning properly? That's the kind of update we'd want to see in order to receive points for that kind of thing. The other one was, I think, tot lot, the use of recycled materials at the tot lot. When I was reading this over, it's it's a little bit of a what we call a double dip, I think, because the tot lot stuff was in that previous action under the new park for health and wellness. But you know, we thought, okay, very specifically, you all used recycled materials in some of the things here, so we gave you some points for that. If there's anything new or update about that, you can include that, and that's how you would update that action. Then we have a whole bunch of very procedural policy kind of things as it relates to promoting local businesses. Like, how can the municipality bolster local businesses, give contracts to local businesses, that kind of thing, in a above board way. So we have a bunch of different actions. One is called local purchasing preference policy. So you all passed an ordinance that includes language to this effect. And you indicated like some examples of some fleet services that were purchased for this. So, you know, if that still is in effect, let us know. If you have examples where it's been employed, give us some examples. That's how you would update that. Similarly, local business procurement notices. So we want to see that the municipality is proactively notifying local businesses of opportunities via your website. You're mailing it to them in their property tax bills, whatever. Again, that sort of thing would need to be updated to indicate that you're still doing that. The next one is hosting local business roundtables. And you had a bunch of different things on here that we sort of put all together. There were some things of hosting the governor on a tour of the town, which is not exactly what we consider a roundtable, but you also had some very specific roundtables that the mayor hosted in order to understand specific challenges. Those are the kinds of things that we want to see, that the town hosts a roundtable around a specific topic. You're inviting local businesses in to discuss it, and that there's an agenda, and then hopefully there's some outcomes as well. And then I think it's for every one of those roundtables that you've done in the last year would be 5 points each. Join Maryland Green Registry. So this is one of those partners. Remember I said we partner with a lot of people like the Arbor Day Foundation. We partner with a lot of Maryland-based organizations or programs. Maryland Green Registry happens to be a state initiative that is designed to promote green businesses, okay? And they are very broadly accepting of businesses to include municipalities. So it can be, you know, a local bakery or a doctor's office, but it can also be a municipal town hall. So you all, let me just check my notes. You all applied for and were accepted into that program, but I don't think anything has been updated since 2019. So in order to receive those points, you're going to want to reach out to the Maryland Green Registry, ask them how to update your profile with them. It's probably not a heavy lift, but it's updating what you gave them last time, kind of like what we're doing here, just in a much smaller way. So that's one to check in on with the Maryland Green Registry, and if you need a hand with that, I can connect you with them. The purchase of environmentally preferable products. So we're encouraging you to buy recycled content materials, to buy energy efficient appliances and lighting, that kind of thing. You all indicated some cleaning service, a cleaning service that utilized procedures and products that were in compliance with what's called LEED certification. Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It's a national standard. So if that's still in effect, we want to know about it, and we want to see an updated information. And last in this category is your second priority action was adopting a green purchasing policy. And that is something that we proactively worked with you to do. So in order to receive points for that and a priority action, you need to do just a couple of things. You need to, between now and June 30th, send a memo to all staff that have responsibility, a reminder that the policy is still in effect and a copy of the policy on that email. And then you need to upload a copy of that memo to your application. So we can see that you've reminded staff in the last year that you indeed have a green purchasing policy, which encourages, does not require, but encourages all departments to think about the green alternative the green option when they're making a purchase. Okay, next slide, Ray. So, and this is our second to last slide. Yep, I'll try and be quick. I know we're up against time here. So, natural resources category. You had several innovative demonstration projects, including some team up, green up activities. Oh, I think this was right. Nature notes. No, I think I may have left that in from a different thing. So I'm just looking at the actual thing here. It's it's the pave drain. It's the pave drain technology on your yeah. So ignore what's written in there. It's the pave drain technology at Town Hall. It was a stormwater pollution plan. It was a Bladensburg More Beautiful awards program, Make Bladensburg More Beautiful, and a leaf collection program. So you're going to want to check on those. For example, the paved drain system, I think you may have had an update to that. And by the way, I'll fix that and send the PowerPoint back to you with that fixed. The paved drain program, you're going to want to let us know if there's been an update. Have you had challenges to maintaining that? What's your partnership with the manufacturer, Ernest Meyer? Like, have they done anything? The More Beautiful Awards, is that still a thing? If so, let us know how it's going. Provide more recent materials like marketing materials. The leaf collection program. So we now have a composting action, and this may or may not fit into that. But if you're still doing leaf collection, how are you doing it? There's a lot of text in there about that that I think could be edited down and updated. The next three that Tree City USA should also be struck from there. You're not a Tree City USA. That was accidentally left in. Pet waste ordinance, pet waste program, pet waste education. So you got points for all of those. That actually happens to be an initiative that we provided to you in 2018. We got funded by the county to work with, over about 4 years, maybe a dozen municipalities in the county. And we provided you with 10 pet waste stations, a whole bunch of marketing materials. And so that's why you receive points for those. And then you had your own pet waste ordinance requiring people to pick up after their dogs. So again, if the ordinance is still in effect, you actually don't really have to do anything except tell us that in a sentence. The program means the stations. We want to hear, have you added stations? Have you had challenges with the stations? How often are they restocked, that kind of thing. And then the education and outreach, we want to see some recent examples of that. So all the stuff you have in what you're looking at from 2019, that would not qualify. We'd need to see that you've done something recently or between now and June 30th. Plenty of time to do stuff on your website, social media, or newsletters. Develop a water conservation plan and a water conservation outreach program. You evidently had done some of these things as part of an overall project. We don't see a lot of these actually in our submissions in terms of water conservation, but you all demonstrated that you've done some of this, so we gave you credit for it. But we'd want to see updates that are more recent than 2019. And then the last two bullet points there are essentially two versions of the same thing. The first one, provide voluntary opportunities for citizen engagement in watershed stewardship. That means the town itself organizes and carries out volunteer opportunities that your residents can participate in to do stream cleanups or tree plantings or what have you. And you had some examples of things that you all had done as part of, I guess, a clean and beautiful community program. So remember, these events things we want to see have happened in the last year, so update that accordingly. The second one, facilitate engagement in existing watershed stewardship opportunities. That means that the town partners with other entities and promotes those entities' watershed stewardship activities. So you all had, let's see, I think you partnered with the Friends of Quincy Run on their annual stream cleanup. You also had some information about the More Beautiful Bladensburg, which I'm not sure was appropriate for this. It might have been for the other one that was municipally organized. But in any case, anything where you've partnered with, oh, sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just had a quick question. Since we're working on the walkable watersheds and we have been for the last few years, can we put that as a possible new action and then working with you guys? I mean, we have an agreement with the county actually to give, we were giving $500,000 of our ARPA funding for storm management, water management. We're just entering into that agreement, but we've been working with them for the last year. Mayor James and Councilwoman have really worked really hard on that.
Okay.
Those would be big initiatives, but I just want to make sure that that would go underneath this this section you mentioned on the stormwater, and then also if the walkable watersheds would count, because we've been working on those programs the last 2 years.
Sure. So as it relates to the walkable watersheds thing, which I know a little bit more about because it's a project here at the EFC, what I would say for that is, I mean, I know a lot of that is really right now in the sort of planning stage.
Right.
Even though it has been 2 years, a lot of it,
And it's been a lot of staff time and a lot of
no,
community
exactly.
organizing.
Right. So I don't think there's not a specific action for that. What I would suggest is that you put it as as an action, a sub action, I guess you could say, under innovative demonstration project, planning and land use. Okay. That's where I think that should go, because that's very much a kind of a holistic, community-wide, actually region-wide planning initiative. So I would describe what your involvement with that program has been under innovative demonstration project in planning and land use.
Okay. Perfect.
The other thing that you mentioned about $500,000 for stormwater management. So, you know, that could be under natural resources innovative demonstration project. But, you know, if it's mainly that you've applied for and received funding, we're not going to give you a lot of points, if any, if that's where it stands. We need to see that something has been, like a plan has been drafted.
We have an MOU. We have an MOU with the county for the process, and we've held several meetings on this area with residents. So, I mean, it's an ongoing program that's going to take years, but we've had sustainable action steps this year.
My recommendation would be innovative demonstration project, natural resources. Tell us, definitely upload a copy of the MOU. Tell us what sort of actual meetings have taken place, and you would receive. And remember, I'm not the arbiter of points here, right? Your application goes through a multi-layered review. But my recommendation would be to put that in there and see what happens. I think you would at the most you would get some points for the planning process, and anything that certainly that you've implemented thus far. But I think it's worth putting in there for sure. Yep.
Thank you. I'm just putting these as part of our action plan, so I'm typing them as we speak.
Right.
Thank you.
Those are great items for the action plan for sure. Okay, so kind of quickly, and I apologize. I've also recognized an error in the last couple things here as well. I will change these to update them. But the planning and land use innovative demonstration project, ignore those two ordinances. What you had was a master plan of the Annapolis Road 450 commercial corridor and the renovation of the Bostwick House and a bioswale project on Edmonston Road and a new pocket park on Tausig Road. So I'll update that and send this back to you, okay? But those were the things that you had and received 35 points in total for those 4 projects. Now, again, there's a couple of things here. One, the master plan of the 450 commercial corridor, that was really in the planning stages back then. So we want to know where that's gone since then, right? If anything's been implemented, if any new reports have come out of this, if any funding has been secured. The renovation of the Bostwick House is, and it's at the bottom of this slide is where I'm going to suggest. So we've added these 2 new categories, historic preservation and transportation, right? So you're going to want to shift that renovation of Bostwick House over to innovative demonstration project in the new historic preservation category. Okay. And you can take some of that language. I mean, there's a lot of text in here about that. There's like 4 different projects and stuff. I don't, we don't want to see all that text again because it's too much and it's stuff that happened, in 2018 or prior. I think if you can condense that down a little bit, that would be great. And then tell us, because I know there's a lot of, every year you've got a partnership with UMD on that. So there's lots of new stuff, I'm sure, to add. And then the same thing with the bioswale project. If you've done any new ones, we'd like to hear about that. And any updates on the pocket park, if you've added more, infrastructure to that, or you've had specific challenges, or you've expanded it in any way. The last one there is participation in the Department of Housing and Community Development Sustainable Communities Program. Without going into a lot of detail, and you can definitely pare down the text that you have in here from last time. It's basically a state agency grant program that you have to qualify for. And when you qualify for it, it opens you up to funding for pretty much like business district, facade improvements, that kind of thing. And the DHCD staff require that you reapply it's either 5 or 6 years, I think. So we just want to see that you're still in good standing with their program. We want to see the last letter that confirmed your designation. So that could be 2022, 23.
It's just renewed. We're just renewing
it's just
it.
renewed. Yeah.
Yes, we're just doing it now. We've sent it in. We're waiting for our renewal letter. We will put that in there. That was that was a plan this year. Yes.
Right. And I remember you mentioned that to me, Michelle. So here's the thing. If you don't get that letter before, like, let's say September, we'll just take the last one and you can tell us that your application is in process. If you get the letter before September, we'll add it to your application and that'll be fine.
Do you want to, I mean, we could submit the application. I have a copy of the application we've already submitted.
Yeah, that would be good too. That would be good.
Okay.
So I would encourage you to look at the historic preservation category. There are a few specific actions there that I did not look up, but I will afterwards. Whether you have any federally designated historic districts or sites, the Bostwick House might be one. I'm going to look that up. And then transportation. Now I'll say on the
Mike, it already is. Sorry, just to let you know, you don't have to look it up. It's on Historic Register as well as the Market Masters in the Washington House. They are.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So those are now specific actions under historic preservation. So you're going to want to put that there and that'll be a brand new thing that you document. And then the other actions are things like having a having a historic preservation commission or committee, that kind of thing. So have a look at some of those, see if any of them apply. The last thing I'll say is what I sent out to you and Michelle shared with you had an error. The very last page says innovative demonstration projects transportation. And if you read, it starts to say edible food forest. We had an error on the website that transferred the community-based food innovative demonstration project accidentally to the transportation innovative demonstration project. So if you're looking at that right now, we would want to hear more about what you've done with the food forest and some of the information about partnering with EcoCity Farms on the Emerson House senior housing and some of the information that you've done there. But that will go, you're going to have to copy that out of the transportation section and put it back into community-based food. But I would also say, and actually, sorry, stop and pause one more time. So at the bottom there, it says 2019, you received 375 points. You had 2 priority actions and you were bronze certified. I will tell you in going through this, my guess is that you're going to lose some of the points from 2019 because it's no longer valid or in existence or out of date or what have you. But you're also going to have some new points. So I have no idea how that points is going to change. But my guess it'll probably possibly go down a little bit. I will also say that I think the way our program has evolved, that we've gotten more strict and tighter with how we award points. So that's also why your total points may go down a little bit from there. But the next slide, Ray, is where I wanted to highlight a couple things. So we have a new action called renewable energy, and that is a priority action. And for some reason, I'm not really sure, it's kind of lost in the mists of time at this stage, but your 2019 application did not include the solar panels on Town Hall. So if you all can document that you're still, receiving, generating energy from those solar panels, we would suggest that you put that information under the new renewable energy action, which would be another priority action for you. And that's something that we recommend that you look for this time, because the community garden action, which is a priority, is a little on the edge, I guess you could say. The next one is, the Maryland Smart Energy Community Program from the Maryland Energy Administration. If you are a part of that program, which I know for a fact you are because we helped you get into that program, you can get points for that. What I would also encourage you to do is look that up online and apply for more funding if you haven't applied for it recently. That is one of the guaranteed sources of grant funding from the state for renewable or energy efficiency that exists. And our recommendation to every community is, you should go back to that pot of funding as much as you can. Electric vehicles. We now have a municipal electric vehicle program. So has the town purchased any electric vehicles in the last 5 years?
We have them on order, but we have not received them.
Oh, okay.
But we have charging stations. We do have a network of charging stations with
Oh.
Pepco at our, so we do have that.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, that's another action, electric vehicle charging stations. And so, that's part of this action. So you can definitely get some points towards this for the stations. The voluntary opportunities for citizen engagement. I just threw that in there to remind you that I think over the years, you guys have done a really good job of partnering with Anacostia Watershed Society, the Alice Ferguson Foundation, and some other local nonprofits. So just to be thinking about those opportunities. And it is Earth Month in April and Arbor Day, and it's a good time of year to do these kinds of things. I wanted to circle back on Stormwater Management Program, which is another priority action. So I don't know how far along you've come in the last 5 years. Michelle, you just mentioned $500,000 and an MOU, and things are happening. Depending on how advanced you are, you may have something that qualifies, in our opinion, as a stormwater management program. I think we might need a separate conversation for that. Tree City USA is something that I recommend to all communities if that's of interest. You can go to their website and see what the requirements are. Historic preservation, I mentioned that the Bostwick House should go under an innovative demonstration project there. And then transportation, if you've done any sort of bicycle pedestrian planning, safe routes to school projects, bike to work, the bike to work day thing, if you're still doing that, you should take it from the other category and put it in under transportation. I've been talking quite a bit. I apologize. We kind of got a little constrained for time at the beginning, and there's a lot to communicate here. But I'm going to stop and say, I hope this provided a good overview of where you all have come from and where you're at and where you're going, and maybe open it up for comments or suggestions for projects we haven't talked about that you've done. And maybe I can tell you where they should go, what category. But basically, I'm going to take a pause and catch my breath and open it up to everybody.
I have a question. We have a brand new Bladensburg library just opened recently and has solar panels, impervious pavers. It got a high rating, I think a silver rating. I don't know if we get any points for that or a mention of it.
Oh, good question. Really good question. And I guess I knew that. So remember one of the slides, it's the like frequently asked questions. You have to demonstrate some connection to the municipal government. So that library is probably it's a county library, correct?
Right, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the tricky thing is the funding and the construction and all of that stuff, planning, was basically supervised and funded by the county.
Okay.
So my initial reaction is that it would not qualify because it is almost an entirely county planned and funded and constructed project. But a great project to have in your community for sure.
Right. And I know some residents are putting up solar panels and the energy efficient insulation and stuff like that. Do you get any points for the number of houses that have solar panels in Bladensburg and things like that?
It's a good question. We don't have any kind of metrics whereby, you have to have like a threshold of 5% of the population or 100 houses have solar panels or anything like that. We just want, if the municipality has been engaged in assisting residents, like the residential energy efficiency work that you're doing, that's what we want to know about. But if residents are just on their own, sort of, funding solar panels without any demonstration that the municipality is helping them financially or is advertising programs to residents, we wouldn't give any credit for that specifically, no. Like if you just went around and counted the number of solar panels in town and told us there's like 50 homes with solar panels, we wouldn't give you credit specifically for that.
Okay, and you mentioned the healthy program. I forget what you called it, but I know that Bladensburg Police is promoting bike with a policeman projects they're doing, things like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's definitely something we would give credit towards. So I'm just thinking of other communities like communities that do things like walk with the mayor. So like, once a month or once a week, the mayor will go for a walk around the community. People are welcome to join and ask questions and have a conversation with the mayor. And it's a great way to get people outside to do exercise. And we give credit for that type of thing under Health and Wellness Innovative Demonstration Project. So what you just described, biking with the police, that would be kind of a very similar thing, getting kids to be comfortable on bicycles. I presume the police department is doing a bit of, education about safe cycling and maybe handing out fluorescent, things that the kids can put on their bikes. But yeah, definitely that would be something we would recognize. Yep.
And they
Okay,
also
thank you.
bought electric bikes too. So I'll add both of them together because they bought electric bikes to kind of help them to get around the town. So
Oh,
they've
the
been doing that as
police.
well. Yes.
Oh, cool. That is something that we have not seen a lot of. So we definitely want to hear about that. And I'm just thinking, Michelle, we might have to think about that. I'll have to check our files for some precedents for that, but
Okay.
that would either go under electric vehicles, right? Because
was thinking.
those are electric vehicles, or transportation innovative demonstration project. One or the other, they'll definitely receive points for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I started to put that together. So just, I mean, I put that down. So when Steve mentioned, we do the bike stuff. So we'll put all that together in that. This is okay if we add everything together that they're doing with the bikes, like the bike with the cop as one, big portion. Does that make more sense for you?
Actually, in my opinion, those two things are both great, but they're separate enough to receive separate points for, if you
Okay.
follow me.
All
Like the bike with a police officer to me is like a health and wellness or even a community engagement action. Whereas the electric bicycles themselves are more of a energy efficiency, initiative. But we can figure it out. And Michelle, I'll tell you, we don't always get this. I mean, the towns don't always get it right when they apply. And sometimes it takes us a while to figure it out. But in that summer-long process where we review your application, if we think it should go somewhere else, we'll just steer you towards that. So it'll go into the right place eventually.
Okay. I'm making that change on mine. So I'll just put that in our stuff. So
And I think, Carol, you have a question?
Yes. Does anything count? Because we started doing rain barrels to help with some of the flooding in the neighborhoods with the residents.
Okay. And
And
yes, that could potentially be something you could put in your application. We just want to know what sort of how the town's engaged in that. Is the town purchasing the rain barrels or subsidizing the rain barrels or helping to have them installed? We would just want to know about that. Yep.
okay, and then we train the residents how to create a rain barrel also.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we're working with EFC, Mike, on it.
That's what I was going to say. I know. Is that a Michelle project?
Yeah,
Michelle?
the other Michelle
Yeah.
Kokolis, yes, Michelle Kokolis is working on that with us, along with we're doing it in English and Spanish. So yeah, there's a whole thing that we're working with.
Oh, great. Yeah, that would definitely receive credit, and that would be under natural resources, and it would be another action we didn't mention, but it's implement watershed stewardship pollution prevention outreach program, I think is what it would be. But Michelle will help us figure out where that goes. But yes, definitely document that for sure. And I just want to be respectful of everybody's time. We're 3:45. We're a little bit over our allotted time. And please remember that, we are here between now and June 30th to answer questions. So this isn't like your only opportunity to talk with us about this and get advice on how to do the application. We're here. And I also want to be mindful whether if you all want to have a bit of a regular meeting after I hop off, just to go over your next steps. So I don't want to eat into that time as well.
No, thank you, Mike. What I did during this for the committee standpoint, I started taking notes and adding some of those to our action plan, which I will send that out to you. So
oh, great.
So thanks.
Okay. Well,
so I'll send those to you. I'll send it to the group so that they can kind of take a look. We talked about a lot of things, Mike, and I really appreciate your time today because it's been helpful for the whole for committee to, I mean, for the green team to hear what the process is like and what we have to put together coming up in the near future.
Okay, excellent. And my homework, I'm just looking at my notes, is there were a couple of bullet points on the last few slides that had incorrect information. I'm gonna make those changes and then I'll send the PowerPoint slides back to you, Michelle, and Ray, and then you can use that as documentation for the Participate in Green Team training action, okay?
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, remember, we are here to help in any way that we can. Let's keep the conversation going. And thank you very much for having me at your meeting today. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks, Mike.
Thank
It's been
you.
very helpful.
Okay, take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Take
bye-bye.
care.
Okay, that's it. We can jump
I
off.
think that's it. I think everybody's jumping off. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Councilwoman
Okay,
Lee,
you
thank
too.
you. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye,
bye-bye.
Steve.
You too. Thank you.